Comics are stupid.
No Harry Potter movie is
And
good.
you're like, give me the Snyder Cut. Oh, sorry, just walk in front of you here. Gonna put my popcorn down. Oh, sorry, gotta put this here.
Universal needs to sue Sony.
Hey, I'm an idiot. I was fired from Fox. Let me go.
I'd like actually to see Venom just crush Spider-Man.
Hello, everyone. We're back today for episode 7 of this series, and we are joined by Sudz Sutherland, a writer, a director. He owns his own production company. He's like doing everything. It's great. And we're so glad he can make time to kind of talk today.
Oh, I don't do everything. My partner does everything. Jen Holness. She's the one who does everything.
It's a partnership. You both do everything. You've both been everywhere. It's insane.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks for reaching out to me,
it's all good.
Khalil. So,
How are you doing today?
I'm great. It's a beautiful day in Toronto, sunny, warm. So I can't complain. Can't
Pretty
complain.
good.
How you doing?
It's a nice day. There's no snow and no rain. It's just like always amazing.
Absolutely. It's beautiful today.
So I gotta start with a question, and I think your shirt kind of answers it for me. But do you like superheroes?
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been into superheroes since before I can remember. So that's it's a part of my life. It's part of my life.
That's amazing, and I know some of the things you've done in terms of directing, which we'll talk about, involve superheroes, which is amazing. So
Absolutely.
can you tell me a little bit about how you got into film and TV, and directing it and writing it, because you do both?
Um, I got into film and TV really through theater, through high school theater. I went to school in Scarborough at a school called Woburn Collegiate. And I started doing short stories. I started writing plays, articles, that kind of stuff was on the yearbook. So I wanted to act at first, and then I tried out for stuff, and I wasn't getting cast. And then I was like, it's probably because I'm black. There are all these Victorian family dramas, and I was like, oh, okay. And then there was a play called Raisin in the Sun, and then I thought that's a play by an amazing black playwright, Lorraine Hansberry. And so I thought, okay, this is great. It's about a black family. I'm completely going to do this. I'm going to go in. I'm going to be a star. And then I tried out and I didn't get cast. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I must be like a really crap actor. So I decided to write my own play, and then I was going to cast myself in it. And then so I write the play, and then I gave it to the sort of the best director in our grade. And then so I gave it to him, and then he doesn't reply for a couple of days. I give it to him physically, because this is before internet and email and all that kind of stuff. So I give it to him, a physical printed copy, my dot matrix printer, and give it to him. And then he says, again, I'm really sensitive here, right? I'm in grade 10. So I'm like, okay, dude, like, what did you think? What did you think? And he's like, yeah, it's pretty good for a black play. I'm like, what? Black play? What are you talking about? I didn't have the words. We didn't have microaggressions. We didn't have those kind of words. We didn't have that language. So I was like, it's not a black play. It's just a play. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to direct it myself. So I got a book on playwriting, and then I got one of these books, like just a little black, like
Notebook.
small notebook, and I still use the same notebooks today. And this pen, the Stadler 430M, that same pen, because we can do pen tricks with it. And I just started making lists of what I needed to do that day, and first that week, that day, and then da da da. And so that was what I did, and I still continue to do that. Same thing. It's just that now the budgets are bigger. So, but it's the same activity. So I just started off doing plays, and then we did short, videos, film school videos. And then after the play did well, it was in this thing called Sears Festival of Drama. It no longer exists. Now it's the sort of the National Theatre School Festival of Drama. And so it did well there. And that early encouragement encouraged me to go and possibly think that this might be a career. And so Spike Lee was happening at the time. He was just coming out with like She's Gotta Have It and School Days. It was before Do the Right Thing. So I was like, okay, a brother can do this. I can do this. So I thought, okay, well, why don't I go to York University? I looked at all the film schools around, and saw that York University was a film school, and it was good. And there was a lot of hands-on production, so that's why I chose York, and then went to York, and then dropped out just shy of graduation, and then started working, and met Jennifer Holness there, who is my full disclosure, my creative partner, business partner, writing partner, life partner. We have 3 daughters, and we've been married for many, many years. And so that's who we are, and that's what we do. So we met there, and then we formed a film production company after that, started making music videos, short films, and then gradually made longer and longer short films. And then the first sort of short film that put us on the map was called My Father's Hands, and that won like all the awards at Yorkton. It won many, many awards, and then it won the HBO Short Film Award. And this is the first the only non-Americans to ever win that prize. And so that really put us on the map. And then after that, we did a feature called Love, Sex, and Eating the Bones, which won Best First Feature at TIFF. And then just continued to, be lucky enough to gain work and work full time in film ever since.
So what you're saying is your obsession to star in a play resulted in your entire career trajectory. I love that.
My failure to star in a play.
It's not a failure.
My failure. Well, yeah, absolutely. I think that, it's not failure. We call it learning. That's what we tell our kids. So yeah, like I was unable to get a role in a play.
So you made your own play.
And I made my own play, but I didn't star in it, but I found something new that I loved. So that was how it worked. That's how it worked.
Failure would be more if you just said, I didn't get this role. Oh, well. You said, I'm going to make my own play to star in it, and that is success.
Absolutely. Like those little delusions of grandeur, they kind of work out sometimes.
So now I have to ask you this just, because I'm curious to what your answer is going to be. What's your all-time favorite movie? And yes, you can give a list of 3.
Oh my God. It's crazy. Like that's a crazy, crazy question because it's like I love film. So it's like many, many films. One of the films that I do say a lot though when this question is asked is it's called Sweet Smell of Success. It's directed by a guy named Alexander McKendrick, who was a British director. And it's starred Tony Curtis and Burt Lancaster, who produced it. And a guy named Ernest Lehman did the script, along with Clifford Odets, who was a playwright, noted playwright in the 30s and 40s. So that is like probably my all-time favorite film, Sweet Smell of Success, because it has amazing whip-smart dialogue, the plot twists and turns, and it's really, really about a deep relationship between a manipulative brother and his sister and the press agent who is coming between them. And the sort of New York publicity scene at the time in the 50s, late 40s. And it was shot on location in New York. A lot of it was shot on location in New York, which was kind of unique for the time. So that's a film I would definitely urge everybody to take a look at. But there's so many films you love, like, Being There. Hal Ashby directed that. Peter Sellers starred in that. Based on a book by Jerzy Kosinski. Lots of films. So many films.
I know it's always a difficult question, especially when someone just suddenly dumps it on you, to have to sort out. Especially someone like yourself who just loves the films and has a passion for it, which is why you do it for a living and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So now I'm gonna drop another kind of question on you, which is kind of big and you'll probably not want to answer. Would you prefer writing films or directing films?
If I could write faster, I would prefer writing. But no, I like it all. I think that whatever you're doing, you're kind of wishing you're doing the other thing. It's kind of how it works out
Grass is
when I'm
greener.
writing. Absolutely. So when I'm writing, I'm like, oh, sometimes when it's not coming, when it's not working, it's like frustrating. Like this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was writing. I was working until 4 this morning, and I was like struggling with something, and then finally at the end, it kind of came together. But it was like I was, you struggle with it. It really keeps you honest. And so it's hard. Writing is really hard, and rewriting is harder. So that's 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 what I have to say. And then like I'm going to start directing something next week, and so that's its own thing. So then I'm like, I'll be wishing I was writing that. But I do sort of subscribe to the theory of be here now. So whatever it is that you're doing, just really enjoy everything about this moment. Like this interview, I'm enjoying this moment right now. If I'm writing, I'm trying to enjoy it and not try to wish it was over, but just to try to enjoy it. And hopefully, if you are good, the writing will flow and the words will come out. Images will be there. It's a challenge, though. Writing is really, really humbling.
See, I'm not much of a writer myself in general. I find it annoying. So, there's that. Now you've done a lot of like one-off episodes of shows, right? So like you've done, 2 episodes of The Flash, an episode of Supergirl, an episode of Batwoman, 2 episodes of Designated Survivor. You've done a lot of those kind of little things. How hard is it as a director and as someone who's like, such a creative person to have to kind of go into something structured and, leave a mark in like a 50-minute episode?
It's hard to sort of leave your mark. What you can do is hopefully, because again, like this is like a machine and there's like 22 episodes. So what you're trying to do is give the actors and the crew something, to work through for the day, like to work towards for the day, like a goal, like something they haven't done before, or, just to give something to the actors to give them some sort of discovery. And also just talk to them, engage them creatively, because sometimes they're saying the same lines over and over and over again, and it could be years. And so sometimes directors don't even talk to actors, and they'll just like assume that, okay, just stand over here, stand over here, stand over here. That's not how I work. I try to engage with the actors, try to give them some sort of sense of discovery. I like to keep it light. I like to keep the set fun. Sometimes we play music. Sometimes we have music trivia. Like I just like to make it help make it a nice place to work, so that you just aren't sort of going on this 8-month or 9-month slog. So when I come to set and when the actors see me coming again, it's like, oh hey, Sudz is here. Okay, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good, and we'll have a good day today. And then we'll do some really great things, because I'm hoping to, that it's like a great day for you and you're doing great things. And you're doing career bests. I'm really trying to create that space so that these actors can turn in really great performances and just be in the moment.
So, how hard is it, I guess, on kind of that similar level to do that? And like, does it feel satisfying at the end when you're done, or do you feel kind of incomplete because again you're kind of stepping into this, you're having this one day of like fun experience and then it's over?
Well, I think like generally the episodes are like 8, 9, or 10 days when you shoot, and so it's a process because you prepare as well. So you may prepare for 7 or 8 days, and so you're answering questions. You're trying to do things that this show hasn't done before, and the show will have its own visual language and its own sort of key signature and its own sort of wheelhouse where it lives. And so you're trying to sort of color within the lines, but sort of push the boundaries a little bit. So that's sort of how, that's the metaphors that I use. So I think that, you have to like, invest in that moment. And again, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're just doing this. It's a relay race, actually. So it's you're here for this leg. It could be episode 8, it could be episode 10, it could be episode 22. So what you're there is to like keep everybody fresh and make sure that your leads get some rest, and that everybody feels valued. And you're just getting the most out of the script that's in front of you, and you're trying to realize the potential, the promise of that script. Because there's fans, especially if it's like a show that has a bit of mythology, or it's got its it could be retcon stuff or whatever, but it's like still like you trying to be true to the spirit of the show. So that's the goal. And as a fan, like not all the stuff. I don't know, all the stuff is not just comic book shows, but like as a fan of drama, I want to see a real scene. I want to see real scenes with real conflict and real characters. So and just push the actors to really just believe what they're saying.
That's actually amazing. And do you watch a lot of these shows, like the CW shows and Designated Survivor? Like, do you watch all these shows even beyond your time?
Yeah. I'm supposed to, like, as I go for show to show, like I'm trying to watch as much as I can so that I know that the work that the actors are doing, so that they can say, oh, well, in episode 511 I did this. I'm like, yeah, I remember you turned left or whatever. And they're like, oh, wow, you saw, you watched this stuff. And so they're always kind of surprised. I make a special effort. If this show's been going on for 18 years, it's hard to do that. I watched the last sort of 2 seasons maybe, or a season. But I try to watch their work. Absolutely.
And so do you watch, what are the shows you kind of watch on a regular basis as like your kind of shows?
Right now, I'm watching, what am I watching? I'm watching, my favorite show right now is Succession. Like, I have to say that is my favorite show. It's like so good. That is like my favorite show. I'm watching The Boys, of course. So I'm waiting for the new episode on Friday.
It's still gonna be so good. I'm so excited for that.
I was kind of like, why did Soldier Boy call him? Oh my God. No, so let's not talk about that now. But it was just like, it was like, oh, of course. And it's like, oh man, I just like, it's just like that. I think that's really good writing, because it's like at it's obvious, and I'm like, I love that kind of writing. I love that kind of plotting. So those are the shows, like those are the 2 shows right now that I'm watching a lot of. So it's like, yeah, I guess those 2 shows, and then I kind of watch everything. Like right now, rewatching The Wire, for example. That's been 20 years, but I'm rewatching it now, and it's still good. Still holds up, And then now, just sort of getting into We Own This City, so by the same creator, David Simon. So it's a mixed bag. I watch what I'm about to do Pretty Hard Cases, so I'm watching a lot of Pretty Hard Cases. So just to get their visual language down, to get their comedy stylings down.
So, what was your favorite show that you've done to direct? Just kind of jump in and direct an episode or 2 of.
It's like, it's kind of weird. It's like I got 3 children, so I don't have a favorite child, but it's like I like doing shows that I haven't done before, like if something challenging that I haven't done before. Like I was the only male director on Ginny and Georgia, for example, and I really enjoyed working with those women. I really, had a lot of fun because it allowed me to tap into my feminine side, and like just I have 3 daughters and a wife, so it's like, I'm listening to their stories and seeing the world through their eyes every day. So that allows me to access different parts of me and different parts of my family when I'm interacting with characters in that world. So that was fun. Those kind of experiences are fun. Things I haven't done before. I love doing those type of experiences.
That's interesting that you kind of like the more challenging things rather than the things you feel a lot more comfortable in. That's actually very interesting. Now I'm gonna have to ask you about. Now I'm gonna talk about the stuff that you've done in terms of entirely. What was the inspiration for Home Again?
Well, we had a friend of ours who grew up with. He had passed away. He was deported, and then he was killed. in Jamaica. And so we began to look into like what happens when you do get deported, and sometimes it's a death sentence. And so we wanted to, like, we were shocked. So we went down to Jamaica, interviewed over 60 deportees, and just saw what their life was like. And it's like there was no help, no support, no nothing. And it was like, this is unfair. This is horrible. So we were sort of trying to, look and see and try to figure out some sort of advocacy as well. Because if you are, let's say you were not born, you're born here, and then you were not born here, and you came as a child, like a 1-year-old, and you committed a crime that had over 6 months, in terms of a sentence, you could be deported to a place that you'd never been. This happened to a kid who was like, I think he was about 19, and he's from India. His parents were from India. They were here as diplomats. He was born here, and he was sent back to, he'd never been to India in his life. So it was kind of it's strange, but I don't know what happened to him. But like there were stories like that all the time. And so we wanted to tell people, get their citizenship, so that if you make a mistake as a teenager or as a young person, you don't have to pay for it with your life. And so that was the inspiration for us to do that story.
So when you're writing a movie like that, and you obviously write with your partner, how does that work? Like how do you do that so you're both contributing and somehow not cause conflict? Because I can imagine there's a lot of clashes of ideas.
Yeah, there's always clashes, but I think that makes it better. And I think that, a long time ago we said sort of the best idea wins. And so, you try to like hear the other person out, and because everybody wants to have their ideas go. And so we just have to say, okay, let's try this, let's try that. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes, but sometimes it's like quite obvious, like, oh, this is how we have to go. Like we're, developing, we're writing, that was what I was writing on this morning. And so we, share out the different scenes, and then we, come back together, we read it, we give each other notes, and then, we try to make it better, make it better, make it better. And then we eventually have to release it and give it to somebody, whether it be a network or another partner. But that's generally how it works. We kind of divvy stuff up, but we talk through everything. It's important to talk through everything.
Is she on set with you when you direct?
Sometimes, not on like TV shows and stuff, but like if it's something that we've done together, sometimes. Yeah.
Does she give you advice or criticism? I guess.
Of course. She's a director as well. Like she directs more like documentaries, but like she's of course like a producer. So she's a very creative producer. So, and she's got a great taste. So I generally listen to her. And I know, as I say, I know where my bread is buttered. So absolutely. But she's a great partner to have. Jennifer Holness is a fantastic partner to have. She knows the business side of things, and she also knows the creative side of things.
So you have a production company. Tell me a little bit how that started and the idea, and what's behind kind of the creation of a production company, I guess.
Well, when you're having a production company, you have to have things in production. So it's about making the machinery to make those things happen. So really what they are is development companies. And so we need to have somebody to answer the phones and somebody to sort of schedule things, appointments, meetings, all that kind of stuff. And then you also have to have people doing business affairs. So that's all the contracts that have to be written, all the relationships with broadcasters and funders. Like there's a timetable for, deadlines and applications and all of that good stuff. So that infrastructure has to be managed. And so that's how a production company kind of is organized. And then like all of that stuff in terms of like, the ideas that you have, your relationships that you build, that also has to be managed as well. So when if you're a young person starting out, I would urge everybody to get a job in a production company as an assistant, and that's how you learn. And that's what we did. That's how we learned. And we learned in TV, because it's like TV, you're doing the same thing every week for a number of months. And so that gives you a sense that, oh, okay, prep happens this this way, and these are the meetings that you have during prep, and this is what happens on the first day of prep, second day, X, 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 until the last day of prep. And this is what happens before you go to principal photography on the first day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the last day, and then it all starts again.
And I'm sure when you're pitching ideas to studios, they also need all that information. They're not gonna say, "Oh yeah, you have a theoretical idea. Let's just go with it."
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like when you're pitching to studios, you want to like make sure that you're pitching them an idea that has what they call legs, something that could last for a number of seasons. Because to make a series is a significant investment, especially they're going to advertise it as well. So they want to make sure that they can take that investment and then just sort of run on it. Like, for example, The Boys didn't do that great first season. It just sort of, nobody really kind of knew about it. And then second season, it began to really, like, there was some time, so people actually began to hear about it, and to, like, just not just the comic book fans, like the general audience began to see it a little bit more and hear about it a little bit more. But now you're hearing a lot about it, because also it's, right now, it's the only thing that's new. And so people are like, every week they're just waiting for it. Last year's season 2, people were like just screaming because it wasn't all available all at once. They were like, oh, we're going to picket this, or we're going to, there's petitions on change.org. Oh, it should be all released at once. It's like, no, dude, like it should be released every week. It's a great formula. And that was from the beginning of television, and it worked. So, the Netflix thing, throwing all the stuff up at once, I don't think it works personally. But whatever.
So actually, I want to dig a little bit more into this. So it's funny you say that, because Netflix even has kind of, to an extent, started changing their own model, because they've kind of been like, this, you develop so much more kind of audience interest if you make them wait. Obviously, you think back to, like, when, I guess for a lot of people thinking back, but like when network television was the only thing, and it was week by week, right? And
Absolutely.
It's interesting how they've kind of even changed their own strategy, saying, wait, if we make people wait, they get excited, and there's more people who come watch. So.
Absolutely. And now you're seeing, what happened with Stranger Things before. It's like you had this like break in the middle, and it's like, okay, let everybody watch it. And then part 4, like the part 2, crashed the internet. So it literally overheated their servers. So, which is great, and that's a good model. I mean, I think the episodes are too long, but they're just a little too self-indulgent. But it's great entertainment, and it drives their subscription model.
So what's your ideal length of a TV show?
I couldn't answer that. It's like whatever the script demands. I think that you kind of have, like, it's about the story, and the thing is about streamers is it doesn't have to be half an hour or an hour. It can be like 38 minutes, 42 minutes, 102 minutes. It doesn't really matter, as long as the story is like, as long as you're not thinking, oh, we could have lost 10 minutes here, then you're fine. Let break filmmakers out of the shackles of, like, conforming to these like pre-existing formats, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 120 minutes.
Or even, I guess, episode counts too, to an extent, right? Like 6 episode series, 13 episode series, 28 episode series.
Absolutely. I think it's time to break free of these kind of shackles, because it's like, honestly, these are all arbitrary numbers.
But I mean, to be fair, there is the business reasoning for these, either with the way that all of the numbers and the retention, all that happens, you do have to kind of, they try. But
100%.
But we did go away from, like, what I found very annoying, which was the brief time where people were like, or not a brief time, actually, it was a pretty long time, where people were like 40-minute 40-minute shows with 28 episodes a season, 13 seasons. That was too much TV. Too much TV.
Yeah, it's a lot of TV, and you end up these stories repeating themselves, because you're kind of it was like Judd what is it? Would say it's reset television. And so we don't want to get into sort of like, there's no real reward for watching the show and having a long history. It's like the same episode every week. So I don't ascribe to that. I like shows that are serialized and you're with them, with the characters growing and somewhat learning, you know?
As much as you can, leaving enough to grow and learn for, 10 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, who's your favorite kind of person to work with in terms of like on the acting side?
Um, hmm. I don't know. I can't have favorites. Like, I like I like actors who, just are not really about their ego and who are just down for like whatever, you know. And it's like it's that whole yes and sort of philosophy of improv. It's like, let's just have a great time. Let's make this scene the best scene it can possibly be, as opposed to who wrote this shit, you know. That's the two sort of approaches to any given scene. So I do appreciate actors who have a sense of joy and have a sense of like discovery, and who are active listeners, who are engaged to their scene partners, and are making them better. Like, I think that people who want to make the other person better, and it's not just about my line, blah 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 blah, my line, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
So let's talk a little bit. So let's take a little bit to a different side of things. So you talk about you don't like actors who criticize things. Now, there's a whole bunch of people on the internet who love doing that. So, what do you think about critics and kind of how much do you pay attention to it?
Well, I didn't say I didn't like actors who criticize things. I'm just saying that if their attitude is who wrote this shit and believe that they're above this, and that kind of like is kind of a damper on things.
Yeah.
So what I would say is that critics, everybody's an opinion, right? Everybody's got a mouth. Everybody has an opinion, and it's worth the same, But I think that if like you can't really get bogged down or depressed when you look at the internet and there's millions of comments, because you're not going to please everybody. What you can do is do the best job that you can do. And so the problem with people on the internet is it gets really caustic and horrible after a while. And so especially like young people who are doing their first forays into art making, and then they have some hatred put upon them, or if they happen to be a woman, on the internet, and just all that hatred gets spewed upon them. Like, it's just for existing, just for having an opinion about anything. Like, it's horrible, And I wish that, obviously everybody wishes the internet was like not like everybody
Terrible.
could have this cloak of anonymity and say whatever the hell they wanted to. Like, I wish there was more, honesty and just people who are just not trying to harm or hate. So I don't pay attention to that. I just try to make the best work I can.
Do you ever after you have release a movie or you direct an episode of a show, do you always go to try to see what the kind of consensus is, or do you just say, I don't care, I'm not gonna go through those things that can end up in dark places?
I'm always curious. So you're always curious. So you always look, and then when it gets to be too bad, it's like, turn it off. I think that everybody's curious. I don't believe anybody who's like, I never read reviews. I'm like, okay, whatever. And maybe you don't. Some people actually don't even watch their own work, which I kind of find weird. But some people just don't look, because they've already done the work. That's something else. They feel that's something else. So I don't generally. I generally look at the work I've done, and I just evaluate to see how it was put together, what differed from my cut and the director's cut, and then move on though. You can't get bogged down because you're always moving forwards.
Are you ever tempted to reply to someone on the internet and say something and try even not even attack them, but just explain yourself almost?
Oh yeah, big time. We did a show called Shoot the Messenger in 2016, and so there was a lot of pushback on that. So I replied. I went in the comment sections. I went, I don't care. I engaged. CBC told us, don't engage, don't engage. I'm like, nah, I'm engaging. I'm engaging. So it was good to engage. And I think that, people are like, oh, wow, the filmmaker replied to me. They kind of like are a lot more respectful, and we can have an actual discussion. But I find now people are like really like angry about everything. So the idea of having a polite discussion is kind of
It's
gone. Weird. It's like when the internet is so young, it's like that area is kind of gone. So
I think people kind of
so that's
realized,
pretty sad.
wait a second, I could just attack people. They'll never know who I am. Because again, the anonymity aspect of it is just so prevalent. And they're like, cool. I'm just gonna, because, and the other thing I think is like you were saying, I think the common thing is when they realize, wait a second, the person who actually insulted this figure, right? Because a lot of people don't see, directors and and actors even as like, real people. They're kind of seen as like these figures or this idea, this concept almost, right? And then so they're like, when this concept responds to you, it's suddenly a whole lot realer, and you're like, oh, oopsies.
Yeah, and I think that that's something like I wish more people would do that and just, be more respectful of each other. Because I think that that's something that we need to have in our, civil discourse. Because it just gets really, really mean out there. And there's a lot of trolls and a lot of people. And the saying, hurt people hurt people. And there's a lot of people right now who are very hurt and very scared. And that's what they're sort of spewing out onto the internet.
So I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna make you tap into your writing brain, your creative brain, and I'm gonna give you a question, okay?
Okay.
If I were to give you an unlimited budget to create a movie, you have to choose the genre, kind of give me a general plot outline, and the 2 stars. For anyone from Hollywood, you can have anyone you want. They're not going to say no. What is the
Alive or dead?
Let's go with alive.
Okay. Oh man, I do a sci-fi. Sci-fi. Idris Elba and okay, Lupita Nyong'o. Yeah, Idris Elba, Lupita Nyong'o, sci-fi, with some malevolent force that's going to, enslave the entire world.
And are they like heroes and trying to like?
Hey, who knows? Maybe they are the malevolent force.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, I'd love to work with those 2.
And how much sci-fi have you done? Because I don't think you've done a lot.
No, not a lot. It's like I did like Utopia Falls. That was like a couple years ago. I've done the superhero genre sort of extends into sci-fi a little bit, but it's like kind of like it straddles from sort of superhero comic book to sci-fi. There's a chasm there, but there's a borderline there. They straddle it too. Yeah, I don't do a lot of sci-fi, but it's something that I love. And so that's the thing. As a black filmmaker, you kind of get pigeonholed to doing sort of cops, guns, gangs, that kind of thing, or comedy. And so I kind of do all that kind of stuff. I do cops, guns, gangs kind of stuff. And I've tried to move away from cops. It's really hard though. And then I'm just going to go direct another cop show. But it's hard. It's hard as a creator of color to break out of sort of a more realistic sort of thing, because you don't see a lot of visions of, this is what the future looks like from an African perspective. This is what the future looks like from an East Indian perspective. Like, you don't see a lot of that. And so I want to be a part of a renaissance of that. So I've got stuff that's percolating, so we'll see.
So if you could direct a film and it could star any superhero ever, which superhero would be and who plays the superhero?
I think it's time for Galactus to come in. Like I think it's time for Galactus to come.
Not a cloud,
and
though,
I think
right?
no,
Okay.
like Galactus, like
The real purple guy. Okay.
the purple guy with the Jack Kirby Galactus. I want to see that. I want to see him, and I do. I mean, I did like the Silver Surfer. I don't think he's ever been realized properly though.
In one movie, and we don't even recognize that thing as a real movie, so it's all good.
We don't even
don't
recognize
it.
that
It's all good.
thing. We do not we just pretend that it never existed. Yeah, but I mean, I think that like Silver Surfer has to be portrayed by a human. Like Norrin Rad was a man, Shala Ball. I want to see that. I want to see all of that. I want to see that story, and not as a 3D animated whatever phantasm. I don't want to see that at all. So I want to see Galactus. I want to see the Silver Surfer. And then I think you can bring in parts of the Fantastic Four, like Mr. Fantastic. I never really liked Reed Richards. He was always a goody two shoes for me. The only one I really liked was Johnny and the Thing. Sue Storm was never really. Anyways, I can go on forever about this.
Hey, I'm here for it. I love this. This is great.
But I think that when they were created back in the late '60s, they were revolutionary. But
First family.
First family, Franklin, all that stuff. And so
Yeah.
I just think, I mean, it got pretty cool in the '70s and stuff. And the '80s, really cool. I used to collect Fantastic Four actually. But with I'd love to see Galactus because I think it's time. I thought they were going to do Galactus before Thanos, but wisely they did.
They also didn't
Thanos,
have the rights, right? Because Fox had the Fantastic Four rights, so technically they couldn't do it Galactus if they wanted to. So.
Yeah, but I think now that there's so much negotiation and they can buy whatever character they want
Fox,
back.
right? So now they have the rights.
Well, yeah, they got it now. But the thing though is that they got to tread carefully. Obviously, you don't want to use up all their premier characters. The Fantastic Four movies never really worked, and the question is why not?
Well, Marvel Studios is getting a chance now to see if they can right the years and years and years and years of terrible wrongs by Fox. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at I don't know if you've ever seen the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. That was
best
horrible.
Fantastic Four movie ever. It's the best by far, and that just goes to show you how awful the rest of them have been.
I have that shit on VHS. It's crazy. That is absolute bonkers. But but it's as a fan, I actually quite liked it because I was this is oh my gosh, Fantastic Four. I can't believe it. I mean, I did watch the cartoon and stuff, but this was amazing. But anyways, Galactus is who we should sort of bring out. That Norrin Rad, Shalabal, bring that story out, and then let's see what we can do here and make a new story with that as the basis.
So what if Idris Elba voiced Galactus?
Idris Elba could be Galactus.
Exactly. That would be the perfect Galactus casting.
Yeah, Galactus doesn't. He's an alien. It doesn't brown skin, dark brown skin, light brown skin. Who the fuck cares? I don't care.
He's a giant purple man.
He's a giant guy who eats planets. I mean, come on. Really? Are we gonna quibble here?
The internet will quibble, but I don't know. I love it.
Galactus is white. I'm
Actually,
okay.
He's purple, but okay.
Actually, he eats planets, so whatever. So I would start with Galactus, and then I would just bring it from there, and then just have a really crazy story. I think right now Taiki Waititi is he's on another level. So I'm a big fan of his stuff, and I like his philosophy in terms of writing. Just just write it longhand first, and just keep writing, and then and write your script and then go to the financiers.
Are you gonna watch
You know.
the new Thor movie?
Oh, hell yeah, that's tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, hell
it's
yeah.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah, we have a new puppy here, so I'm gonna
Ooh.
have to, make some sacrifice. So one of my kids will have to look after it. But it's like I love Taika Waititi. He's great, and I think Hemsworth is so funny, and so I'm looking to see him, Natalie Portman. I really want to see how that whole thing happened, how she is now Thor. So. That's it's going to be a lot of fun. So it already looks a lot of fun. So whatever, it's going to be fun.
So wait, are your children not superhero fans?
Oh yeah, they're big fans.
Okay,
Like
good.
right now, actually watching the MCU in timeline order. That's their summer job.
That's awesome. No, that's a good job.
Yeah, like they're doing that. Even the one shots, like everything in order. That's what they're doing.
That's amazing. And see how long? So how long till you direct a Marvel movie?
I don't know how long that is. I don't know. I've been talking with Marvel, so we'll see if it actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, they talk to a lot of filmmakers. Again, not about movies, like about their TV shows. So but they look at it as one of the same. It's not quite the same universe. It's kind of the same, similar.
I need you guys to do me a favor.
It's like it's kind of.
I need you to like this video.
They make them like
I need you to
movies.
subscribe to the channel.
They don't want the
I
quality.
need you to follow us
You
on
know,
social
on a
media
comic
at
book,
comicboys
and
underscore on
I
Twitter
look
and
forward
Instagram.
to working
I need you to
within
click the
that,
notification bell
within that house. So
so you can get
I need
notified
you to
of
do me a
all the
favor,
amazing
though.
stuff we have coming up,
This movie too.
including all the
Because I
interviews.
need this.
They're
I
awesome.
need this, and make sure
And
Idris Elba
watch those
stars, like,
interviews
I
too if
need
you
to
haven't,
do
because
this.
they're all awesome.
absolutely, I would
See you next
love to
time.
do. Yeah,
Bye.
I'll pitch them. I will absolutely pitch them that.
This is like because this is a genius idea.
I was like, they have the characters. It's just about
Yeah.
like I think they are the best at casting. Like I can't remember her name, but she is so good at Marvel casting. They haven't really hit a wrong note. They haven't hit it.
Yeah, and you just tell them Idris Elba is the right pick.
Absolutely.
So I gotta kind of, we're at 45 minutes. I know you got a lot of things you gotta write. Like you're so
Yeah,
busy.
I gotta go back to writing.
But I gotta ask you two final questions before you go.
Okay.
One, what are you working on now?
Right now, working on a show about a hockey team.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're working on a show about a hockey team. So
Any more details?
hopefully, nope. No more details. It's about a hockey team, and it's like, it's about how much fun it is to be on a team.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah, and it's just about being young and having fun and following your dreams. So that's what it's about.
And my last question is kind of a big question. So, what advice would you give to kind of young people who see kind of, watch this interview and are like, hey, this seems cool. I want to kind of do what he does. I want to kind of direct and, what's the advice you'd give them?
I'd say don't be afraid of being trained. Go to school, go to like film school, take a course in screenwriting. Like, don't be afraid. Learn the rules before you break them, and just learn how it works, how stories work. And I would say, watch as many movies as you can, and just start writing. Like, start writing and read interviews with, your favorite filmmakers. Found out how they got in the game. Like just those kind of things. That's what I did. It was harder to find that stuff. Like I would have to read a book, magazine called Film Comment, and I had you'd have to go to one particular store downtown that had that magazine, because it wasn't available in Scarborough where I lived. So I'd have to go downtown to Leichmann's, and that was the bookstore. Buy my copy of Film Comment every month.
See, and now you have YouTube and interviews like these.
Absolutely. Now it's different. Like you can actually hear them. You can, see so many interviews by, if you want to learn how to write like Aaron Sorkin, there's a master class for that. It's different now. So I think there's master classes, all kinds of resources, YouTube, all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of information out there. Just soak it in, but you have to write. That's what you have to do. You have to write.
That's like the perfect advice is literally just learn and be taught. Be okay to be taught.
It's okay.
Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything you want to promote? Any social media? Anything?
Yeah, sure. It's like Hunger Eyes Media Inc. That's our at Hunger Eyes Media Inc. Official Sudz Sutherland Instagram, and then just Jen Holness Instagram. Yeah, that's who we are.
All of them are linked in the description, and yours is underneath you. You can't see it, but it's like on the screen when people are watching this, they can see it underneath you.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was great. So glad you could make the time to kind of chat a little bit.
No, thanks, Khalil.
This is fun. And
Absolutely.
look, we're gonna have to have you on again at some point because I just really enjoyed this conversation.
Sure, we'll have you when we announce the Galactus premiere.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and thank you again. And I know everyone watches appreciates you coming on, and you know.
No, well, thanks for reaching out and thanks for having me.
Yeah. And everyone who's watching this, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, and do it for Sudz because he wants you to, right?
Very nice, very nice. Okay, Khalil, take care.
You too. Have a great day. And everyone, see you next time for the next episode. Bye.
All right.